Ōhirume. Ōhirume marks a turning point in the evolution of Mangekyou Sharingan abilities, used exclusively by Sarada Uchiha in Boruto. This technique deviates from the traditional Uchiha arsenal. Unlike previous powers centered on illusion, fire, or spatial manipulation, Ōhirume utilizes gravitational fields. Sarada generates up to 4 black spheres, each functioning as a mobile gravitational core. These orbs can be directed independently, allowing precise control over what gets pulled in and what remains untouched. In combat, this ability offers both direct offense and battlefield control. The gravitational force generated by the orbs is strong enough to drag in armored enemies, redirect projectiles, or immobilize targets mid-movement. The crushing effect resembles a compact black hole, capable of pulverizing large physical structures. In one encounter, Sarada used the technique not only to draw in hostile attacks, but also to lift herself off the ground and engage in mid-air maneuvering. This gives her aerial mobility, a rare advantage among non-Ōtsutsuki shinobi. While its chakra cost remains uncertain, the scale and versatility suggest a significant strain. Like most Mangekyou Sharingan techniques, prolonged or repeated use could risk permanent damage to vision. However, she just activated Ōhirume one time, and it made her exhausted, draining out all of her chakra. But considering her unique chakra control and medical training inherited from Sakura, it might be improved in the future. Historically, the Mangekyou Sharingan awakened through loss and hatred. Sarada breaks this pattern by activating her ability through love and the will to protect others. Her Mangekyou was born from witnessing the collapse of her world's truth, Naruto's supposed death, and Boruto's false accusation. This reframes the Uchiha legacy from one of vengeance to compassion. Additionally, Ōhirume's power plays a strategic role in the war against the human god trees, serving as a countermeasure to high-level threats without depending on ancient chakra sources or cursed techniques. Through this, Sarada's dojutsu doesn't just evolve biologically, it evolves ideologically. Now, if you've made it this far, welcome to the amazing world of anime. This is the place for true fans like you, where we celebrate all the magic, action, and emotions anime brings to our lives. You've watched, you've felt the hype, you've been lost in these beautiful fantasy worlds, but, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Right now, almost 90% of you are watching without subscribing. Just imagine, if everyone hit sub, we could build one of the strongest anime communities out there. So go ahead, click that subscribe button right now so you won't miss any new episodes, deep dive breakdowns, or awesome anime content coming your way. Thank you so much. Now next on the list, just a little bit higher, is Susanu. Susanu represents the pinnacle of Mangekyou Sharingan development. Activated only when a user awakens the Mangekyou in both eyes, it manifests as a massive humanoid avatar made entirely from chakra. This spectral warrior serves as both an offensive weapon and a near impenetrable defense. The form varies between users, but the core structure remains the same, a skeletal frame that evolves into a muscular body, eventually reaching its ultimate form, the complete body Susanu. Each stage enhances durability, strength, and versatility. In its early skeletal form, it provides bone-like ribs and arms capable of blocking physical attacks or manipulating objects. As the user gains mastery, the avatar forms armor, weapons, and wings. In its final state, Susanu rivals the size and destructive potential of a tailed beast. For instance, Madara Uchiha's complete body Susanu could slice entire mountain ranges. When combined with Kurama, Sasuke's Susanu served as a chakra exosuit, amplifying both entities beyond individual limits. Despite its power, Susanu is highly chakra intensive. It drains reserves quickly, and extended use contributes to progressive blindness. Additionally, its vulnerability to non-physical attacks limits its effectiveness. For example, during the confrontation with Kabuto, both Itachi and Sasuke activated partial Susanu forms, but were still caught in a genjutsu transmitted through sound waves. This exposes a critical flaw. While Susanu resists most direct assaults, it lacks resistance to subtle, non-linear threats such as genjutsu or spiritual manipulation. In the Fourth Great Ninja War, Madara's Susanu became the visual centerpiece of overwhelming force against the allied shinobi forces. Its towering presence underscored the scale of the threat he posed. In contrast, Sasuke's Susanu symbolized unity when paired with Naruto in their final confrontation. Through Susanu, the Uchiha clan's evolution becomes visible, moving from isolated wrath to cooperative strength. This technique doesn't only protect or destroy. It illustrates how each Uchiha bears the weight of their clan's legacy through the form their Susanu takes. Totsuka Blade. The Totsuka Blade is a unique weapon accessible only through Itachi Uchiha's Susanoo. Unlike physical swords, it is composed entirely of chakra and functions as a spiritual sealing tool. Once it pierces a target, the blade absorbs them into a permanent genjutsu realm, effectively removing them from the physical world. This sealed space is an eternal illusion where the victim remains trapped without hope of release. In terms of mechanics, the Totsuka Blade appears as a glowing ethereal sword held by Itachi's right Susanoo hand. Upon contact, it does not wound or destroy. Instead, it extracts the enemy's consciousness and body into the genjutsu, bypassing physical resistance or regeneration abilities. Orochimaru, despite his immortality-based techniques, was neutralized instantly when pierced. Nagato, under Edo Tensei, was similarly sealed without resistance. Yata Mirror. Paired with the Totsuka Blade, the Yata Mirror completes Itachi's ideal Susanoo build. This defensive artifact is held in Susanu's left hand and acts as a spiritual shield. The Yata Mirror blocks all incoming attacks by adjusting its chakra nature to counter the elemental or physical properties of the threat. This means it does not simply absorb or deflect, it transforms to perfectly match and neutralize. Mechanically, this ability operates through continuous chakra modulation. When Itachi's Susanoo is targeted, the Yata Mirror instantly assesses the composition of the attack and shifts to a counter-element or counter-frequency. During Sasuke's Kirin assault, a high-speed, lightning-based strike created from natural thunderclouds, the Yata Mirror activated and negated the impact without damage. This demonstrated that even nature-enhanced jutsu are insufficient against the mirror's adaptability. Yata Mirror is purely defensive. It requires active maintenance through Susanoo, consuming large amounts of chakra over time. It does not retaliate or reflect energy, and it cannot function independently from its wielder. Yasaka Magatama. Yasaka Magatama is one of the most recognizable projectile techniques used through Susanoo. It manifests as a rotating cluster of chakra Magatama, comma-shaped orbs associated with the Sharingan's Tomoe pattern. These orbs are generated in Susanoo's hands, linked by energy threads, and launched at high velocity to detonate on impact. Their explosive range is significant and well-suited for long-distance engagements. The technique varies depending on the user. Itachi's version forms a small ring of 3 Magatama, ideal for precision strikes. Madara's variant uses dozens of Magatama arranged in wide arcs, maximizing area coverage. Sasuke deploys a modified form infused with Amiterasu, merging fire release with explosive force. All versions rely on the chakra stability of Susanoo to form and fire the projectiles. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, Madara used the technique to obliterate large formations of the allied shinobi forces. The rotating motion and mass acceleration upon release create a shockwave on detonation, comparable to large-scale explosive tags. It bypasses basic elemental defenses and overwhelms smaller fortifications. Yasaka Magatama is dependent on the existence of Susanoo, and its attack is linear and predictable, making it less effective against highly mobile or intangible targets. Tengai Shinsi. Tengai Shinsi is among the most devastating Mangekyō-related techniques, demonstrated exclusively by Madara Uchiha. It involves summoning a massive meteorite from the upper atmosphere and directing it toward the battlefield. The meteor's descent generates overwhelming kinetic force, capable of reshaping terrain, destroying fortifications, and eliminating thousands in a single impact. Madara manipulates spatial fields to draw the meteor from its resting point in near orbit. The speed and weight of the falling mass increase exponentially as it approaches ground level. In some cases, a second meteor is summoned to ensure total destruction or to exploit defensive gaps created by countermeasures against the first. During the war, the Allied forces launched coordinated elemental barriers and attacks to stop the meteor, but the first impact still devastated the entire area. The appearance of a second meteor bypassed all remaining defenses, leaving only select shinobi alive due to unique survival abilities or positioning. However, Tengai Shinsi consumes immense chakra and lacks precision. The impact zone cannot be adjusted mid-flight, and allies within the blast radius may be caught unintentionally. As a result, it is unsuitable for surgical strikes or close-quarters combat. Amiterasu. Amiterasu is one of the original Mangekyou Sharingan techniques, first displayed by Itachi and later inherited by Sasuke. The jutsu produces inextinguishable black flames that burn at the heat of the sun. Unlike standard fire techniques, Amiterasu does not require hand seals or external ignition. The user simply locks visual focus on a target, and the flames materialize at the designated point. Amiterasu activation through direct gaze enables precise targeting, even mid-combat. In practice, Itachi used Amiterasu to destroy Jiraiya's toad stomach summoning from inside, a space otherwise immune to physical escape. Sasuke used it in his battle with the Raikage, burning through A's lightning armor and forcing him to amputate his own arm to survive. While its power is considerable, Amiterasu has structural limitations. The flames ignite slowly and spread over time, making them less effective in high-speed or short-range confrontations. Targets with fast reaction speeds can escape before being fully engulfed. Additionally, the technique consumes a large amount of chakra and contributes to Mangekyou-related vision degradation. Kutsuchi. Kutsuchi is Sasuke Uchiha's exclusive ability and functions as an evolution of Amiterasu. Rather than generating new flames, Kutsuchi grants control over existing black fire. Sasuke uses it to manipulate Amaterasu's output, forming weapons and defenses on demand. With this ability, Amiterasu transitions from a raw offensive tool into a flexible combat style. Sasuke creates bladed weapons, such as swords and arrows, embedding them into Susanu, or using them in close-range combat. These fire-forged constructs retain the burning properties of Amaterasu while gaining form and direction. In the fight against the Raikage, Sasuke shaped the flames into a piercing lance. Against Danzo, he crafted defensive walls and projectiles, combining offense and defense within seconds. Kagutsuchi's effectiveness depends on existing flames. Without Amaterasu as a base, the ability cannot activate independently. This dependency creates a time delay, as Sasuke must first initiate ignition before shaping. High mobility targets can avoid contact, and the technique's complexity drains chakra quickly. Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi is Itachi's most iconic genjutsu and one of the most psychologically damaging techniques in the series. By making direct eye contact, the user projects the target's consciousness into an illusory realm where time perception is fully controlled. A single second in real time can feel like multiple days inside the genjutsu. The user shapes the illusion, typically to induce psychological torture or mental breakdown. Itachi uses Tsukuyomi with precision and minimal movement. Against Kakashi, he caused 3 days of mental torment in less than a second, incapacitating him with no physical injury. During his encounter with Sasuke, Itachi repeated this method to overwhelm his opponent's resolve. Because the technique directly affects the brain's perception of time, its effects linger well after the genjutsu is released. The main drawback lies in its strict activation condition, direct eye contact. Skilled or prepared enemies can avoid this. Additionally, maintaining the illusion consumes large amounts of chakra and contributes to ocular degradation. Repeated use reduces its effectiveness over time, especially when countered by mental training or dojutsu resistance. Coto Matsukami. Coto Matsukami is one of the rarest and most powerful genjutsu techniques in the Uchiha lineage, used exclusively by Shisui. It allows the user to subtly implant thoughts or commands into a target's mind. altering decisions and behavior without triggering awareness. Unlike Tsukuyomi, it does not require direct eye contact and functions undetected even by skilled sensors or dojutsu users. The genjutsu works by modifying the subject's internal will. Instead of forcing them to act, it makes them believe that the action was their own decision. In practice, Shisi intended to use it on the Uchiha clan leadership to prevent a coup. In the canon timeline, the technique was used posthumously through Itachi's implanted crow to release Edo Tensei and free Itachi's will. Danzo also attempted to use it during the 5 Keige Summit, proving its strategic significance in diplomacy and warfare. Coto Matsukami's power is balanced by a strict cooldown period. After one use, the eye requires 10 years before it can be used again. Even with Hashirama's cells to enhance recovery, the recharge window remains long. This limitation makes it unusable in rapid combat and restricts its deployment to only the most critical moments. Within the story, Koto Matsukami embodies Shisui's ideals. He sought to protect the village without bloodshed, using influence over confrontation. The technique's subtlety contrasts with the direct violence of other Mangekyō abilities. It positions Shisui as a shinobi ahead of his time, one who believed control could be used not to dominate, but to preserve peace through quiet intervention. Kamui. Kamui is a space-time technique exclusive to the Mangekyou Sharingan wielded by Obito and Kakashi. It allows the user to transport matter into a separate dimension, bypassing conventional barriers of time and space. The technique has 2 functional variants based on the left and right Mangekyou eyes. Obito's right eye enables intangibility by transferring parts of his body to another dimension, while Kakashi's left eye fires ranged portals to warp external targets from a distance. Obito can phase through all attacks by shifting his body momentarily out of the physical world. This makes close-range combat ineffective unless the timing is perfect. Meanwhile, Kakashi's sniping ability removes limbs, projectiles, or entire entities by distorting space instantly. Together, the 2 forms allow offensive strikes, escape, and defense across different ranges. Kamui consumes large amounts of chakra and cannot be used for intangibility and teleportation simultaneously. During prolonged battles, even Obito, with Hashirama cells, had to time his usage carefully. Kakashi, lacking regenerative abilities, could only use the technique sparingly without risking collapse. Obito used Kamui to become nearly untouchable, enabling years of infiltration, ambush, and deception. Kakashi used it during the final arc to engage Kaguya and to shift chakra-based attacks between dimensions. Kamui's versatility and strategic depth placed it among the most tactically complete Mangekyou techniques, bridging raw power with precision movement. Izanagi. Izanagi is a forbidden Uchiha technique that rewrites the user's fate by merging illusion and reality. Upon activation, the user gains temporary control over their existence. Any event, including death, is transformed into a dreamlike state that the user can override. This allows them to survive fatal injuries, undo failed actions, or reframe reality in their favor. Once activated, Izanagi remains active for a limited window, usually a few seconds. Within that span, any damage, loss, or unfavorable outcome is nullified. After the effect ends, the used eye permanently loses its vision and becomes blind. In combat, Izanagi provides a second life. Obito used it to survive an explosion from hundreds of explosive tags. Danzo activated it repeatedly, using multiple Sharingan embedded in his arm. Madara applied it to fake his death against Hashirama, enabling his resurrection through planned contingencies. However, the technique does not prevent damage. It only erases it after the fact. It is ineffective outside its duration, and each use sacrifices an eye. Prolonged usage requires multiple implanted Sharingan or regeneration through other sources. Izanami. Izanami is the conceptual counterpart to Izanagi. While Izanagi alters reality, Izanami traps the target in a repeating sequence of events until they accept the truth. It is a genjutsu that does not rely on mental damage, but instead forces introspection. Once caught, the victim experiences a loop of repeated scenarios, often mirroring a key decision point or emotional trigger. The user must pre-record a loop using sensory input, position, sound, timing, creating a reference frame. Once the victim reenacts that same frame, the genjutsu activates and begins its cycle. The loop continues indefinitely until the target willingly accepts their own failure, truth, or contradiction. It is not escapable through force, only through internal change. Izanami is a one-time use technique. Like Izanagi, it costs the user their vision in the Sharingan used. The preparation is also complex, requiring the user to be in close range and anticipate the victim's movements accurately. Itachi used Izanami against Kabuto during the Fourth Great Ninja War. Kabuto, caught in a mental state of denial and obsession, was forced to repeat the same actions until he recognized his limitations and chose to abandon his destructive path. In doing so, the loop ended and he was freed. Object manipulation. Object manipulation is a specialized technique used by Shin Uchiha, a clone with artificially modified Mangekyou Sharingan. Unlike traditional abilities, Shin's eye grants control over external metallic objects through chakra-linked telekinesis. He marks weapons with a unique seal and then manipulates their movement remotely. Functionally, the technique allows mid-air control over swords, blades, and other sharp implements. Shin can alter direction instantly, launch attacks from multiple angles, or create suspended barriers of steel. In his confrontation with Naruto and Sasuke, he used this ability to redirect Sasuke's sword mid-flight and coordinate simultaneous attacks without moving his own body. The technique is entirely dependent on the availability of marked objects. It offers no internal enhancement, no illusions, no teleportation, no defense. Shin's combat performance relies on weapon count and positioning. Once disarmed, his ability loses function. Moreover, his over-reliance on clone support and lack of direct dojutsu upgrades makes the technique situational. Hino Gutsuchi. Hino Gutsuchi is a non-canon Mangekyou Sharingan ability, attributed to non-Ōtsutsuki in various filler and game-based material. It expands on the concept of Amiterasu by accelerating ignition speed and extending the blast radius. The technique produces black flames that detonate instantly upon activation, trading sustained burning for high-impact explosions. Unlike Amiterasu, Hino Gutsuchi delivers shockwave-level damage upon contact. It is less about precise targeting and more about overwhelming the battlefield. In gameplay representations, it causes wide-area destruction and can affect multiple targets simultaneously. The fire explodes in a burst, with the black coloration retained for visual continuity with the original Amiterasu. Even with its unofficial status, Hino Gutsuchi reinforces the legacy of Indra. As the first known Mangekyou Sharingan wielder, Indra's techniques are portrayed as foundations for all Uchiha powers. Hino Gutsuchi embodies his destructive potential, mirroring his role as a progenitor of conflict. The jutsu functions as a thematic extension of fire-release supremacy within the Uchiha bloodline. Yachihoko. Yachihoko is a non-canon genjutsu linked to Hikari Uchiha in game-based narratives. It is categorized as a high-level Mangekyou Sharingan technique that affects both chakra flow and cognitive stability. The jutsu manipulates the victim's chakra, memory, and decision-making by inducing wide-range illusions tied to spiritual control. Mechanically, Yachihoko initiates with a genjutsu wave. Targets caught in the radius experience loss of chakra control and altered memories. This creates artificial loyalties or disorients their battle instincts. The illusion can modify target behavior without requiring physical interaction. In combat simulations, it can neutralize groups by removing their ability to coordinate or respond effectively. The technique is assumed to consume large amounts of chakra due to its range and cognitive impact. Its effectiveness depends on initial entrapment, meaning those with dojutsu resistance or mental discipline may escape or weaken the effect. Like other non-canon abilities, it lacks extensive detail on cooldowns or visual requirements. Clone detection. Clone detection is a specialized ocular technique used by Madara Uchiha during his battle with Hashirama. It allows the user to identify artificial clones, such as wood clones or shadow clones, by analyzing their chakra signatures and visual inconsistencies. Though simple in execution, the ability provides a strategic advantage against substitution-based deception. During combat, Madara used this ability to detect the real Hashirama among multiple identical bodies. By isolating the unique chakra pattern of the original, he avoided wasting time and resources on decoys. This function is passive and does not require direct activation. It operates as a perceptual enhancement of the base Sharingan's chakra vision. Tena Fuin. Tena Fuin is a sealing jutsu exclusive to Mangekyou Sharingan users like Itachi and Madara. It allows the user to embed a technique or chakra imprint within another person, object, or summon, triggering later under specific conditions. The sealed jutsu can include techniques like Amiterasu or Izanagi, stored invisibly until activation. This seal is preloaded, meaning it cannot be adjusted once embedded. When activated, the stored ability unfolds automatically, regardless of the target's awareness. For example, Itachi planted Amiterasu into Sasuke's eye to trigger upon seeing Obito's Sharingan, creating an instant counterattack. Madara is believed to have used a similar mechanism to survive after his apparent death by activating Izanagi from a preset seal. The technique is single-use. After activation, the stored jutsu disappears, and the seal cannot be reloaded without a new setup. It also demands high chakra cost and careful planning, making it ineffective in spontaneous engagements. Thank you for watching till the end. See ya in the next video.